Hello, welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to be showing you guys how to make delicious hamburger buns today. For this recipe, I'm going to be using my favorite kitchen gadget, just my air fryer, to come out with this yummy and delicious hamburger buns. These are all the ingredients I'm going to be using. So I'm going to list all the ingredients down in the description box. Be sure to check it out. So I have some vegetable oil. So I have some sesame seeds, which I'm going to be using as toppings for my buns, and I have some sugar as well, which is just going to sweeten everything up. Easy, simple, straightforward recipe, and the buns you get are so fluffy, so rich, and so yummy. I have some instant yeast, which I'm going to be going in with. So guys, be sure to check everything out. I have some salt as well, which is just going to balance that sweetness. I have some whole milk, which I'm going to be adding to just add richness to that buns. And of course, this is all the water I'm going to be using for this recipe. I'm going to be needing a mixing bowl, and this is what I'll be using to mix everything up, and my rubber spatula. So let's get started, guys. I'm just going to be adding all my ingredients into this mixing bowl, and I'm starting with my water. And once my water goes in there, next comes my yeast, because I need to activate the yeast before continuing with the recipe. Now I'm just going to add in 2 teaspoons of yeast. I'm going to stir that nicely with my rubber spatula until the water and the yeast combine nicely. You can see that all the grains have dissolved into the water. So this is how you want the mixture to be before you continue. So this just activates my yeast, and I can continue with my recipe. So once I've dissolved my yeast like this, I'm just going to continue right in by adding my whole milk. Next, I'm going in with my vegetable oil. After this, I'm going to add in my eggs. I'm using 4 eggs for this recipe. You can check all the measurements for the ingredients down in the description box. After the eggs, I add in my granulated sugar, and this is getting interesting. So once I've added all of those ingredients in my mixing bowl, I'm going in with my hand mixer, and I'm just going to whisk all of that up nicely and ensure that everything combines perfectly. I want a smooth consistency. Once I've mixed everything up, I'm going to add in about half the quantity of flour I'm using for this recipe. So you're just going to estimate and add in half the quantity of flour you're using. And once I have that in, I go in again with my hand mixer, and I'm just going to whisk it up until I have this smooth and nice consistency. This is how you want the mixture to be. So once I've mixed everything up and I'm happy with how it looks, I'm just going to go ahead and scrape everything up with my spatula, and I'm going to set this aside. You can see how this looks, so I'm going to set this aside. Now I'm going to add in my salt into the remainder of my flour, and I just want to mix the salt nicely into the flour. So once I've mixed everything up, I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of honey into my mixed batter, and I stir this nicely with my spatula. And I want to just add in some extra sweetness with my honey into these buns, and of course it's going to be so delicious. You can go ahead and taste it. It tastes so amazing. So once I've mixed my honey in, I'm adding in the rest of the flour, which I mixed the salt in. So I'm just going to mix this up with my spatula until everything combines nicely, and it's going to give me a smooth and sticky dough. Get ready, brace yourself, because this is the time when you want to get in that arm work. So you're going to mix everything until you have this sticky dough at the end. This is how you want your dough to look like. It's going to be soft and sticky, and once you have your dough, it's time to move on to your work surface. You're not adding any flour onto your work surface. So once you get your dough onto your work surface, you want to ideally use a scraper. If you don't have a scraper, you can improvise like I did. I'm using a wooden spoon, and I'm just going to fold my dough in and just mix it up, going round and round. mixing in and folding it in until it becomes smooth and elastic. So you want to keep kneading that dough and folding it in for about 8 to 10 minutes until it gets firmer and more elastic and smooth. Once that is done, you're going to oil your mixing bowl and you're just going to transfer that dough back into it. You want to ensure that you oil your pan all the way up because this is going to rise, trust me. So once you're done oiling your pan, you transfer your dough back into the pan, and I'm just going to cover this up. Once you have covered the dough up, you want to transfer into a warm environment to rise for about 1 to 2 hours. I like to heat my oven for about 5 minutes, then I turn off the oven and I let my dough sit in the oven and rise for about 2 hours. That does it for me. So once I've taken out the dough, you can see your dough should ideally double in size. I'm going to line my air fryer basket with some parchment paper. Wow, you can see how much this dough has risen. I'm going to oil my hands with some cooking oil, and this is my favorite part, guys. Can you tell? So I'm just going to punch my dough. I love this part. So once your dough has risen, you're happy with it, you want to transfer your dough onto a lightly oiled work surface. So I'm using my board for this part. I just oil it down a little bit, then I'm going to transfer the dough onto my chopping board. So once that is done, you want to just divide and cut this up into about the same sizes. So once that is done, you're going to oil your palms, and then you're just going to fold each size in and just play around it until you have a round and smooth shaped dough. You just want to fold each portion in until you have a smooth and round shaped dough. So once this is done and it looks nice and smooth, you're just going to place this onto your parchment paper in your air fryer basket, and it's almost time to bake these bad boys. I'm just going to get my dough nice and smooth and do this with the rest of the dough. If you have any leftover dough, of course you can keep it in a tight container or a sealed bag and save it in your freezer. Next time you want to have some delicious buns, you're just going to take that out, let it thaw on your counter for about 30 minutes to an hour, and it's ready to bake. So you don't want to overcrowd your air fryer basket because this is going to rise again while it's baking. Just put enough that will just fill up your basket. Once I have my dough in my air fryer basket, I'm just going to cover this again, and I let this sit on my counter for about 45 minutes to an hour. This is going to rise again to about double its size or half its size. Once that's done, I'm going to glaze with some egg wash, and then I'm just going to sprinkle on some sesame seeds over my buns just to ginger it up and take it to the next level. And guys, I baked this at 175 degrees for about 20 minutes or so until they were perfectly golden brown. And you just want to monitor and check about every 8 to 10 minutes and just ensure that this is going the direction you want it to go. Once you're happy with how it looks with the color and the texture, it's time to take it out. So guys, after about 22 to 23 minutes, guys, this is how delicious and yummy my buns look. They are ready. I cannot wait to make a sandwich and just enjoy this. They are fresh out of my air fryer. They smell so yummy and delicious. Oh my god, guys, you need to try this recipe. Look at all that crust, look at all that fluffiness, that yumminess. Thanks for watching. I'm just going to enjoy this right now. Please don't forget to like this video, don't forget to share, and don't forget to subscribe if you have not done so. Stay tuned, guys. Bye.